back with a great event for you today. I'm joined by Ruben Gallego, Senator now. It's always great to say that. Welcome, Senator Gallego. It's great to have you back in front of the Hopium community.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for all that you guys did to help me get here.
Well, listen, it's the first time since you were elected. You spoke to us after the election and gave us an update from Arizona. For the first time, we're 8 months into this journey that you've been on. How's it going? I mean, what's your assessment of how the country's doing, how the Democrats are doing? How are you thinking about and responding to Trump? Just give us an assessment of things.
Well, life is good overall because we're talking earlier. I've had my third kid.
Congratulations.
Born June 12th. Healthy boy, smiley boy. So that's very lucky in that way. And of course, Isla and Michael are doing very well too. Look, the state of what's happening right now is not good. And there's no really, me, Simon, I don't sugarcoat things. And Democrats really, fell hard in 2024. And, I think we were anticipating a very volatile situation with Donald Trump, but not to the point where what this man is saying. This man is basically breaking every norm, every law he possibly can get away with. There is no checks and balances on. The Supreme Court is useless. The Republican opposition is useless. Right now, what we have is basically ourselves. We have to fight right now. And the 2 or 3 elements that can still basically mount any type of resistance are going to be elected Democrats in the House and the Senate, elected Democrats out in our communities, whether it's city, state, local, and then just, as we would say in Spanish, the pueblo out there, the people that have to really either embarrass this man, slow him down, or show that his positions are so unpopular that it would potentially move popular support away from some of his really, really crazy positions, or to the point where maybe he'll think twice about it. But I think there's a stumble at the beginning of this year with certainly my leadership in the Senate where I thought they mishandled the potential shutdown. I think it's important right now that we do a couple things as Democrats. Number one, the most important thing you could do is make sure that you communicate that who Donald Trump is, his positions, and his positions are unpopular. Do not let them gaslight the public, because if you allow them to do that, they're going to win elections again. We know they're unpopular. You see it all the time. This is why you see them lying all the time, because they feel like if they can lie enough that people will start believing the lie. But we have to continue to push, that their big ugly bill was bad for this country. It will end up sending people into medical bankruptcies. People are going to get kicked off food stamps to help the rich. The rising cost of energy is directly proportional to the Republicans cutting a lot of the energy investments. Inflation that we see growing in this country right now and unemployment, it's also due to them, but also the fact that they're going and they're rounding up every worker they possibly can without any knowledge about what they mean to this community and violating civil rights in the process. And now we have to, not avoid the fact that this president is trying to cover up for a pedophile. I'm not saying that the president engaged in it, but somehow the president seems very likely to try to support any type of cover up to cover for Epstein's crimes, as well as some of his potential clients. These are the things that we need to be focusing on, pushing hard to make this president unpopular for us to have any chance, any fighting chance of making sure we at least take back the House or potentially the Senate in 2026, and at least have some leverage, because it's not coming from anywhere else.
Can you reflect a little bit? You and I have known each other for several decades. We've worked on immigration together and on the Hispanic vote. And, our community was your largest outside fundraiser of any community in the country. And you're raised, we're proud supporters of your amazing performance in the election last year. We just had a Supreme Court decision just in the last day or so where we now know that they're allowing racial profiling, on the ground. What's your immediate sort of sense of that? I will be honest with you, I was shocked by it. I was
pretty shocked. I mean, I think on the political spectrum, this was already going south for the Republicans. This is going to be the quickest turnaround in terms of, Republican underperformance with Latinos since Bush going in 2004 to Obama winning by such strong margins in 2008. And I think you're going to see the same thing happen right now. They had an opportunity to really solidify this community, at least the male Latinos voters, as being, more Republican than in the past. But right now, when you're separating families, you're not accounting for people that are, have community connections, have people that are family members, have no criminal record, and just treat them as if they're, these dangerous criminals. And you're allowing racial profiling to happen. And you may not see it in any type of normal, media, but certainly if you open Spanish media, you'll see people complaining about the fact that they're being racially profiled and they're talking in Spanish. The other thing that I think people aren't understanding more, that it is no longer cool if you're a young supporter of Donald Trump. There was this coolness factor among young Latinos to be a Donald Trump supporter. You especially saw young Latino men supporting Donald Trump. Now, if you see kind of what's happening within kind of like the rap, reggaeton genre of music, you see them openly dissing Donald Trump. Some of the best, the most downloaded YouTube video is this Chicana rapper who is just ripping on Donald Trump and on family members that voted for Donald Trump. So the ship has really just turned around politically, and I think there's going to be some really harsh realities are going to hit pretty soon. And I think you're going to see it really quickly in Virginia and New Jersey.
Well, I mean, listen, what's so remarkable to me about this decision is that it's really, we do have a two-tier justice system. For white people now, there's due process. And for Hispanic people, Latino people, there isn't. And it's really that simple, and it is shocking. I mean, it's shocking that we ended up here this quickly. It's just a shocking betrayal of the entire theory of due process and the way this country's operated for hundreds of years. And
the thing is, like, for us as Latinos, we're kind of used to it. We're in one way or the other. I think the harsher part is that it's a reality again, right? And it's just that, like, I feel, if you hear, and there's just, if you talk to people in the community, we're the community that is you're always allowed to pick on this community. You're always allowed to say immigrant or illegal immigrant when you're actually talking about brown people. And so this is basically a reminder of that. And it's an insult to a lot of them who feel like they've been, such an essential part and fabric of this country. I mean, if you look at go to any military base, you want to talk about people talking in Spanish that are of the same color, culture, and working in different fields. Go look at a Marine Corps base. You'll find a lot of Latinos there. And I'm sure they won't be racial profiling there, but what it does tell you is that we feel like we're part of this country. And now the Republican Party and the Supreme Court, which they don't separate them either, but from each other, are basically saying, no, you're not. And this after they got a lot of our support and vote.
Well, and you add to that the tariff increases, which are disproportionately hurting, working people. Sure. The gutting of healthcare. I mean, no community.
The cost of everything.
Yeah, cost of everything.
Groceries are expensive right now. Restaurants are expensive. Like, I go to IHOP with my family, almost every Sunday, and at least the IHOP that I go to in South Phoenix, you could tell that the volume is down. You could tell that these families aren't going out as much. And a lot of it has to do with costs. Costs are just expensive. They just, are going to ditch the, post-church breakfast that they used to go as a family to and basically save money at home. And they were promised lower groceries. They were promised the world by Donald Trump, the beautiful word groceries to help him win. And he's absolutely forgotten it. And they're feeling it right now.
Well, and Ruben, as you know, no community benefited more from the ACA and from the Medicaid expansion than Hispanic and Latinos. And so this attack on the ACA and on Medicaid disproportionately is going to hurt Hispanic and Latino families across the country, to add to everything else. Right?
It hasn't even hit yet. I think a lot of families right now, especially in the Southwest, are about to start getting their ACA premium notices. And I think you're going to see these numbers even plummet more. Medicaid cuts are going to be coming later in the year. They'll be implemented in 2026. But, as you know, I helped write the Arizona Medicaid expansion law. The providers are going to start making decisions, probably at the beginning of next year, what they're going to do to basically keep any services alive. So this is going to be a very, very bad political year for Republicans. In a normal year, they could still do fairly decent with Latino men. I think this number is going to cause some real cratering that I don't think they actually quite know. And the fact that they gerrymandered 3 districts in Texas that are 50% plus Latino and think that they're going to perform that way or perform Republican, that really kind of shocks me.
Well, one thing I'd like to, we haven't talked in a while. I've been leaving you alone. I know you had a new kid and I know how busy you are, but
yeah, took a little leave. Yeah.
We need to help the national party really develop, you and I and those who've worked on these issues for a long time, to develop an offensive strategy, to be super aggressive, to take advantage of this opportunity. Because, I haven't really, it's great, because if you look at where we have to expand, both in terms of 2026 and also longer term for the presidential map, we've got to at some point make Florida or Texas competitive. It's just it's a requirement for
Iowa or Nebraska,
yeah. And so we've got this issue of this new Hispanic opportunity that we have, which is how we met over 20 years ago was the last time. This is something that I think we really have to help our family get on an offensive foot. We've been sort of in a defensive crouch on this in recent years, and I think that we need to change that culture and be super aggressive. And it's also because people are going to suffer. I mean, this is what we do. We fight for working people. We fight for people in times of adversity. And no community is probably going to suffer more in the next 18 months to 2 years than the Hispanic community in the United States.
So, I think to some degree, also the African-American community, because we're both kind of working class communities, but we have to stop looking at some of these communities and say they're just not winnable because a Latino district voted for Republican. Now it's something that's out of the realm. And that's just not the case. Like, we know from our election that we can win, Republican leaning Latinos, right? Now, what we have to do is feel comfortable with someone not being 100% aligned with us on everything. But guess what? That Democrat's probably going to be aligned with us almost 100% on Medicaid, on Social Security, on jobs, on the minimum wage increase. And, we may not be 100% on a lot of other things, but we have to accept, in order for us to win, we have to get back to big tent because this is a big, big country. And we have to invest in, I think, in not your normal politicians. I wasn't the pick of the Democratic Party at first. I was probably, even if Senator Sinema had dropped out, I probably still wouldn't have been the first pick of the Arizona Democratic Party. I mean, well, not the Arizona, the national establishment Democratic Party. I think they would have wanted someone safer. But there is no way anyone could have won this race except for me, right? Even if Sinema had stayed in and I had never run, she would have lost this race. There was no one that could have appealed to working class Latinos and still be able to get swing, suburbanites to vote for them. You get one or the other. A lot of candidates that were being mentioned could have gotten one or the other, but very few could have gotten both. And, we have to start looking at who are those candidates going into the future in the Texases, in the Floridas, in different parts of California. I think there's going to be, Colorado is going to end up being more competitive right now. It's a 4-4 split. We could easily make that 7-1, 6-2 in the future. North Carolina is going to be another example. Hopefully they ungerrymander themselves someday. And I think you're going to have some potential candidates there that, especially, African-American candidates that could really win some of these rural, black belt areas, all these places that, we have to stop giving up and stop trying to do the same thing over and over again.
Hey, everyone, it's Simon. Just in the middle of this interview with Senator Gallego, we ended up having a significant technical problem. So rather than holding the interview, we've gotten this part out. Hopefully we can get the senator back in a few weeks to sort of finish out the interview. We were anxious to talk about his thoughts about the fall and the budget battle. Unfortunately, we didn't get to that, but it was a terrific interview with our dear friend. Hope you'll enjoy it. And if you liked it, please hit like and share with your friends and hit subscribe too as well if you're not a subscriber to Hopium in all the various ways you can. And thanks everybody for coming today.